It's time for New Wellness TV with Dr. Lee. Join your host, the accomplished Dr. Cherilyn Lee, as she welcomes the leading experts in health and well-being as they explore the advancements in natural health, physical fitness, nutrition, integrative medicine, and self-discovery.
Hello, everyone, and I just this is going to be an exciting show. My co-host isn't with us today, and Siobhan Cameron. We miss you, sweetheart. We miss you. There was an introductory of myself, and you can always visit my website to know a little bit more about me if you like. But the show that I have today is someone I've been knowing in the community for years. And I'm just so grateful that he is here today. He has several books, but we have a wonderful topic that I know a lot of people are kind of concerned about because it says healthy food may be killing you.
Yeah.
And people are like, how is that? How is healthy food killing me? So my guest is Dr. Zarif. And if you don't mind, I'm going to just have you let's tell people a little bit who you are.
Well, I'm first of all, congratulations. This is a wonderful opportunity to be with you anytime. It's
Thank
always a great. We've known each other for countless years.
Yes.
And
don't give away our age. Okay.
Yeah, I'll say countless years.
Mm-hmm.
I am a person that's been in the community for a very long time. I came from Detroit, Michigan. I started off as a professional martial artist. I fought for the Golden Bears, the Black Tigers, and so forth in a fighting team, and I was undefeated. I started working for superstar Stevie Wonder as a bodyguard, and then I taught many classes in karate, wushu, and taekwondo, and other bodyguards. And later on, I opened a fitness center.
Yes.
And from opening a fitness center, I was still in school, so I finally got accepted to St. Luke's University of Medicine and School of Medicine. And then from there, I continued to study, and I always wanted to do something in the health field.
Yes.
So as I continued to study, I went through the degree thing. Really, to my surprise, it wasn't all that I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yes.
But after I got the degrees behind my name, I started to get out more and teach more. But
Yes.
my forte was martial arts at the time. I really thought I was going to be the next Bruce Lee, like most of my comrades. And the Ninja Karate and Health Club was where I got my start in Detroit, Michigan. I fought at Kronk Studios with, some of the greats there, Dwight Davison, Tommy Hearns, all of these really incredible people. So now today I am an activist.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
We're making great strides. We started the Unapologetically Black base, which is Unapologetically Black. I am unapologeticallyblack.com, where we just keep people aware of certain things that are happening today, and those things that we feel that we should be aware of in order for us to protect ourselves against injustice, protect ourselves against unfair situations, because, the game is rigged. I mean, that's the bottom line.
We do know that.
Yeah.
It is
So,
kind of across the board, too, but more so with different...
black people are at the bottom.
Totally.
So,
and so,
yeah.
yes.
So that's what we advocate that, and all black people don't agree with us, so we don't, all black
But
people
listen,
don't
if
agree.
we jump into politics,
Yeah.
we will be off the air.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, my hour will be over.
Oh, yeah.
Not off the air, but
okay.
my hour will be over. So we want to
But-
kind of jump into this topic.
Okay.
Because it is so important, and I love what you have in here dealing with the brain waves
Mm-hmm.
and how this is affecting us.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know, and I have many of my patients are watching this show. that are
All right.
dealing with people with some brainwave activity. So shout out to Cherie.
Hey,
I know
Cherie.
she's there, and many others, and Paula, and it's just many people that I know text me on the way,
Yes.
letting me know they will be listening to the show because of healthy foods may be killing you.
Yes.
And a lot of people are not aware of that.
And
It's
that's
something-
the key, awareness. It's about being aware, but it's also very important to be implicit. That is to do what you know and to at least see if that works for you. What happens here is that we become addicts, and that part of that addiction is not to hear anything that is other than what keeps you comfortable.
Exactly. So we're going to just go ahead and get started. And I know you sent in some very good pictures, and we'll start off with the BLD, or SAD. And we know what that means. So the BLD is not a sandwich. We let people know that that's not a sandwich.
Yes.
So the BLD would be your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then your SAD, SAD, is
the standard American diet.
yes, and most people know that. So we're going to kind of jump right into there. So in dealing with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, let's just start off with breakfast. As we talk, as we're speaking about healthy food may be killing you. So what in our healthy food diet for breakfast may be killing us?
Well, the things that's killing us for breakfast is that we wake up in a very calm state, usually.
Yes.
And that's alpha. So when we eat the food, I don't care how healthy we may think it is, eggs, bacon, toast,
That's not healthy.
grits, so forth, and that's what people consider healthy today, right? So what happens, even if they had like omelet, was that the first thing they say, I'm going to have a healthy omelet,
Right?
And they have vegetables and all the little trimmings in it, and they eat that. Well, protein is not the first thing that you should put in your body, because that's the difference between wake up, honey, it's time to get up, then get out of the bed. Get out of the bed is protein. So it is it's the most complex molecule that the human body breaks down.
Okay.
So when we wake up, our first meal should be a cleanser, something to initiate a bowel movement, and something that will eventually, that means little by little, accumulate the kind of energy that we need to start our day. Not something that's going to be a hard hit and then you move from there.
Because I would tell people starting off, after brushing your teeth, have a glass of warm lemon water. Something kind of warm with the cleansing first.
Yes.
I'm not really a big advocate on a lot of apple cider vinegar because of the kidneys.
Yeah.
We got to really watch our kidneys when we're doing a lot of apple cider vinegar, because people don't realize you have to drink equal shares or more of water when you're going to do that. But I'm going to let you go ahead and let's talk about not having the protein and having a cleansing. So what do you suggest? We have a wonderful juice, Morning Glory, we call it, to people kind of start off with. But let's go with what you think people should start off with.
Okay, sure. If you don't have to go to a special store or have a special anything with this particular thing, it's just understanding that we need to eat from the fruit section. We need to have the produce at this time, because the properties of fruit, the apples, bananas, pears, kumquats, and so forth, have an astringent value and a cleansing value that's automatically built into what we're eating. Those properties are all cleansers. As a matter of fact, they're called detergent foods. And these are the foods with the fructose that's just enough in order to initiate the first evacuation. The very first evacuation, which is defecating in the morning, is a very wonderful process, although we might look at it in a different way. But this process is to begin. It's just like the sun rising, and so is the body. The body is just getting up, and it should be cleansed, and it starts the body off without a jolt in the heart. That's why we still continue to lead in the number one killer in America, which is heart disease or cardiomyopathy infarctions. And that is what we continue to face on a daily basis when you have these myocardial infarctions, because we eat the same thing. We have the stress. We don't sleep properly.
Exactly.
We overwork ourselves, and then we overeat, and we eat the wrong things at the wrong time.
So having a healthy breakfast, we go back to that, would be not that protein omelet. Now, how soon after, in your opinion, this is your theory for what you're doing.
Sure.
Having the cleanse, how soon after should a person have the protein?
Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to eat the first hour. We have listed a few hours there. But the first hour is instead of breakfast, the first hour, because you allow 12 hours up when you're eating. This is the catabolic period. This is when we're taking foods and they're converting to energy. So the first hour would be your water and your fruit. And that's the majority of what you're eating. Even if you ate some cereals, let it be the majority of that should be fruit, because you want the cleansing. And then 2 hours after that, the third hour, you have like your nuts, or if you eat animals, that's when you start the eggs or the dairy products. I don't advocate that, because those are the things that can definitely clog up your system. But for those that want to get a little healthier, this is what you do. You add like your nuts, even beans in the morning. We can have bean salads, and I know that's like odd to hear that, but a wonderful source of protein. You can have quinoa, which is a really wonderful source of protein.
Yes, it is.
These are wonderful things that you can eat. Chia seeds, for instance, is another wonderful food to eat when you mix those in your food.
If you take your chia seeds and put them in some water with a little lemon, and put them in the refrigerator overnight, it is amazing. That is a wonderful drink for the morning.
Exactly.
It's a wonderful cleanse.
And filter.
Protein.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of protein in chia seeds, so that's really great.
And that's the biggest problem that most people think when you're talking about plant-based foods. The biggest question that you're going to hear is, where do I get my protein? And since 1941, they've been, since the discovery of protein, and since the propagation of milk and dairy products, people really feel that they cannot get protein from anything but livestock. And that's a fallacy.
So, we were talking about, so we kind of hit breakfast, because I want to get into more, a lot of your show was talking about brainwave and the gamma, and as it relates to diet.
Yes.
Okay. And not only just diet, our overall well-being.
Yes.
So I wanted to kind of get through this because we got a little late start. So we want to make sure we cover everything. This is a power pack program.
Yes.
And so now let's kind of hit a little bit on lunch. So we're talking about the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and what would be more of a healthy lunch. And I do know that when you're eating and putting food into your body every 2 hours, people don't realize you're actually also helping to stabilize your blood sugar. That those long empty periods of not eating food is really bad on the body for so many reasons.
That's a great
And then
point.
we wonder why so many people have diabetes and all these other problems, and they wait till they just famished and they just have to have food. But once you start doing every 2 hours, and I love your method.
Thank you.
Because it really stabilizes things in the body, and you're not just starved. And people don't realize you don't gain weight.
Yes.
You don't gain weight that way.
That's right.
Yeah,
because your body is active, it's moving, it's just doing something. Your laboratory is busy.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've been taught that, and you know this as well as I do, that we're in a reactionary system, not a proactive system.
Exactly.
So we wait until after something happens to us, and then we act on what has happened to us after the fact.
Exactly.
So just as you said, the stabilization of our glucose levels, the stabilization of a good heartbeat, the stabilization of our nervous system,
hormones,
all of those hormones, and that's a huge, a woman, for instance, goes through about 300 to 400 hormonal changes per day, whereas a man may come to about maybe 200, 250. But we go through these it's not just women. Men go through their thing too.
Exactly.
But to stabilize that and to get equilibrium, it is important to
The timing
eat in
of
this
food.
way. Yes,
The
that's
timing.
why it's
And
called the rhythm diet.
the rhythm diet. I
Yes.
love that. I love that. And I was just
Thank
looking over some of your notes from your book, and I think that's so important to make sure we're putting food in our body at a certain time and not go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and all this space in between.
Yeah.
And some people are like, I just have one meal a day. And I really don't think that's really healthy for the body.
No.
Especially what the stress and the things that we're doing today and our climate today. We really have to fuel our body, our cells, knowing that cells are repopulated constantly. So we have to do something about that. So let's quickly kind of hit on lunch, then quickly on dinner, because I really want to get into more of the brain as it relates to our food and our personalities and anxiety.
Okay.
And people are not aware, what's happening with that.
Yes, well, let's start off with lunch. Lunch should be the largest meal of the day, not at the end of the day, in the middle of your day. So if you get up at 6 a.m., 6 to 7 hours after that, that's the middle of your day. That's when you should eat the largest meal. That's when it's healthier.
Exactly.
You got another 6 to 8 hours to break all of that down. Whereas the way that we've taught to eat dinner at the end of the day, we have maybe 2 to 3 hours before we go to bed, and we take it all to bed with us. And when we look at these apple-shaped bodies instead of these pear-shaped bodies, we end up with all of the different diseases, the diabetes, the heart disease, different cancers,
ovarian
hypertension,
problems, prostate cancer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because if you lose homeostasis, which is that internal balance, then your body isn't even capable to fight for itself.
Exactly. And one thing I like what you said, the closer to nature, the healthier you'll be.
Yes.
So the closer to nature, we sort of got away from all that.
Yes.
We do want to make sure we have organic and certified organic foods, but the closer to nature is so important. So synchronizing the rhythm. So I want us to kind of jump into that. I know we didn't talk about dinner, but that would basically be the same thing.
Well, it's just easily said the smallest meal of the day should be your dinner.
Exactly.
Before you retire and go to sleep, the smallest meal. And you should have that without any protein. Because protein, again, will keep you awake. That's why we have so many insomniacs. You want to reduce the protein-dominant foods. And I say that because when we say protein has carbohydrates in it also. It has fats in it also. But it's about carbohydrate-dominant, protein-dominant, and some of the sugar-dominant foods, oil-dominant. You have those types of foods, such as oil-dominant would be dairy products, for instance. Right. So it's what dominates that food. But for instance, bread is a carb, but carbs have protein in it. And you can look at wheat berry, for instance, or whole grain, or all these different types of wonderful breads, and you'll see that it has a nice content of protein.
Right. And when we're dealing with grains, we don't want to deal with a lot of grains when it comes to brain-grain relationship as the brain and the colon, the relationship there. So we don't want to do that. I know one thing that will really keep you up at night, and that's to have something sweet.
Yeah.
A slice of cake, a slice of pie, something I don't do. I used to. But you definitely don't want to go to bed having something sweet, because that will definitely keep you up at night.
Yeah, we have a lot of people addicted to sugar, and it's a very difficult. Some people can't go to sleep until they have that slice of cake or that banana pudding and so forth, because it's just like a hit. It's an addiction, and that's what we actually treat these addictions, just like they're, you're just eating too much. You got to break down. We're not going to buy that anymore. Right. But if you're addicted to food and you can't help yourself, you need to form a support group or go see a professional.
Exactly. So what would you suggest a person have, again, at that last meal, so they will feel satisfied before going to bed, keeping in mind that you're having something you're going to be eating every 2 hours. So that last meal, you shouldn't be really hungry.
That's correct.
In the first place. So what would you suggest, so we can move on to our wonderful brainwaves.
Okay. Well, you can have tabbouleh, you can have hummus, you can have brown rice salads, you can have peas, corn, you can have different vegetables like all the different types of squash. You can have different salads, hot cereal. Hot cereal should be eaten at night, and sometimes in colder regions we eat hot cereal, and that's good as long as you have again predominantly fruit during that time.
Okay. Kind of sound reversed though, from breakfast to dinner. It sounds like a reverse meal almost.
Yeah, well, the hot cereal can't compete against with steak and potatoes. So, of course, they put that, at the beginning of the day. If we really stop for a minute and think, where did we get these meals from?
Exactly.
And they come from farmers with deep pockets that could afford to get on TV and to push these vegetables and have trucks and workers and so forth to get it to us and teach us that this is the way to eat. So if you look at all around the world, eggs, chickens, things that are on farms. And that today is the same nonsense that we go by. But when we look at how our body works, the closer to nature, the healthier we'll be. When we start taking different drugs and we start taking refined foods and processed foods, we are stepping away from nature, and the sicker that we become.
Yeah, so let's get into the brain waves. You want to start at the top. I'm going to let you take it from there because for each gamma and beta, all these brain waves has something to do with your personality. And you can either accelerate or you could decelerate what's going on in your life based on your brain waves.
Yes.
And now you can actually detox your brain. And you could detox your brain really by sleeping on the lateral side of your body. It's just amazing how the cerebral fluid starts to flow from the body, and that's a way of detoxing the brain. Amazing. There's research on it. Check out YouTube on detoxing the brain.
Whoa.
Yeah, so let's get involved with the gamma waves.
Well, the important thing to remember about your waves, your brain activity, all of that is, one, you have influx of thought. A brain now, so people won't get confused, the brain is the matter. The mind is the action of the matter. So the receiving and the transmitting. The brain is a very busy place. It's just all it is just billions of nerve cells. Now, if we eat, we affect the activity of the brain, which makes it busier. Now, when we go to sleep, for instance, and we're going to sleep and we're eating all of that, well, we speed up two things. We speed up the heart because now we're digesting.
Yes.
The parasympathetic nervous system is supposed to shut everything down.
Exactly.
And what we do is we interfere with that. Instead of our bodies just concentrating on our basal metabolic rate, which is slowing down the heart, slowing down the brain activity, is sped up because we eat late, you can't sleep, you're up, you have nightmares and so forth, and that's because of all the blood that's going to the brain.
Yeah, repeat that again because there's so many insomniacs.
Yes.
And this is so important for them to know what you should eat before going to bed because what's happening to your body. Instead of having, one lady said, I could feel my heart beating, it's palpitating, with palpitations and all these things happening. So I just want you to just put a little bit more emphasis on that.
Okay. When you eat, again, the rhythm diet, this book right here will save your life, I'm telling you, because it has really, really great information in it. And this is something that I really want everybody to get, because not just because I wrote it, but it's just if you really are like you don't know where your health is and you're worried about it, and if you're worried about loved ones and so forth, this will help you. Let's get to it. The foods that we should eat should complement our state of being. So let's say our state is getting ready to go to bed. Before we go to bed, we should eat that small meal. The reason that it shouldn't be any proteins, because proteins are excitable foods. The other foods, like the plant foods, are all calmatives. They help you to relax.
Yes.
They're natural calmatives. I guarantee you, if you've been eating turkey and steak and hamburgers and pizza and all of those types of foods, and you replace it with a plant-based meal, that you will see the increase of your sleepiness, which is more alpha waves, and a deeper, longer rest, and you will feel more recharged in the morning.
And you know what I tell people that is so powerful is to make sure when you lie down, meditate.
Yes.
Okay, you're going to sleep better and sounder when you meditate. Lie down on your side, so the brain could start doing its work too. And also, outside of just meditation, you want to do some nice deep breathing.
Yes.
Nice, even, and slow, because that's going to slow down the heart rate. It's going to slow down so that you can relax.
Yes.
And when you start going to bed with a sense of gratitude for the day, I made it through this day. I have a roof over my head. I'm sleeping in a bed. And just do your deep breathing. People will fall off to sleep.
Yes.
But sometimes your brain is too active because of what you just said.
Exactly.
The diet. The brain is too active. You can't shut it off and go to sleep.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So if you change the diet, do these other little exercises, it's amazing how you can rest. Because
Exactly.
I was so excited about the show today. I'm like, okay, I want to get up and read on this, and I want to go over this, and I want to go over this PowerPoint, and and then the mindset, look, it's all there.
Yes.
It's all there. Just take a deep breath.
Yes.
And go to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. That's great suggestion, Dr. Leah. I think because when you really take time and have a better relationship with sleep too, and that's a better relationship instead of I'm just going to go and put my head on a pillow until I fall out, is to start in breathing and relaxing, because that also helps your heart to slow down.
Yes, it does.
And it also helps the influx of thoughts slow down.
Yes.
It's no other mechanism there. So when you just in meditating and just counting your breaths, that's all. Not a lot of thoughts, just counting your breaths, you'll find that you'll get great sleep. I do it every day.
Wonderful, wonderful. And as far as energy influx, with brain waves. So, you've covered so much, and I think it's a power-packed show, considering.
Yes.
But we're covering a lot of information.
Yes.
And please, everyone share this with someone, because you'd be surprised. Something so simple as diet.
Yes.
They can turn around and help you sleep. You won't have to take Ambien. You won't have to take sleeping pills.
Yes.
Try this first.
Yes.
You don't have to have a glass of warm milk, which is a protein.
Yes.
Maybe that's keeping you awake.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
So let's try some other things here to help you to rest. And then when all else fails, then you'll see a person. You'll come into NuWellness Healthcare. Check with your own healthcare provider, and let's see what can be done to turn around. Because I was one, my kids still, my daughter's like, Mom, you do not get enough rest. You do not get enough sleep. And I say, I lie down, and once I meditate and start doing the deep breathing, I can go to sleep. But then also watch what I had as that last meal.
Right.
And I tested it out one time. I said, I'm going to test this and have a little something with some strawberries and this and that. And it was so tasty. And believe me, I stayed awake all night. So I know for a fact, through the years, that does not work.
That's right. And that's a great example of healthy foods could be killing you.
Yes.
Because although those are foods that you are a healthy eater, but if you eat the wrong foods at the wrong time, they could be doing more harm to you than help. And it's a difference, everybody. Good doesn't mean great. People say, and good doesn't mean healthy. You can say, how you been eating, man? Oh, I've been eating good. We eat good there. But good doesn't mean healthy in most cases.
Exactly.
So it's understanding and redefining what good is.
Okay. And what can we do to become more alert?
A more alert is a theta. Alert is, there's a couple of things we can do. More alert is, alert and aware is almost interchangeable. But in the case of being alert and up, you have to keep the equipoise or the balance of your sugar. When you get hypoglycemia, that low blood sugar makes you irritable, and it also interferes with your alertness.
People will not be around me when I'm hypoglycemic.
Oh, man.
No.
Yeah, that's Grumpalumpus
Oh,
time.
yes.
So is the hypoglycemia is definitely a no-no. So you want to keep it balanced. Your sugar level should be your numbers, knowing your numbers. I'm getting ready. I'm going to speak on the 25th of February at Long Beach Convention Center. I'm keynoting there, and I'll be speaking about know your numbers. And knowing your numbers is very important. For instance, sugar between 60 and 100. 60 and 100 is very important to know, because anything over 100, now you are being hyperglycemic.
Okay.
You have too much sugar. And if you're under 60, that means that you're hypoglycemic. So a balance is all about the homeostasis, that balance.
Right. And also watching your hemoglobin A1C.
Yes.
Blood tests and your serum insulin.
Yes.
So many people come to me and they say, well, I have my blood sugar and I was fasting, and I have my hemoglobin A1C, and nobody have their serum insulin level. I'm really big on functional blood testing, which is so important. Homeocysteine, C-reactive protein. Look at all the factors as we look at nutrition, which is so important to pull it all together.
Yes.
To see where you are.
Yes.
Because each person is different.
Yes. Yes, and that means that if your numbers are run always high in your family, that might just be a natural thing for you. But you want to get where it is healthy for you, healthy where your family to be, because there is a healthy point, and you can do that by checking in with your doctors, getting a repeating that same process, and find out where are you healthiest.
Yes.
Those numbers, what's your healthy number? You know, triglycerides is another one that's overlooked. You know, the blood fats. All of those things you should know these numbers. Your HDL, your LDL, your VLDL.
You know, and then there's fractions that you need to know. And then something recently has come out too, as it relates to the brain, and it actually has to do with detoxing, not so much detoxing, the age of your brain, like your biological and chronological. So that's come out. But we're going to take a moment for a break.
Okay.
To acknowledge our sponsors.
Okay.
Which is one sponsor so far. And the sponsor is NuWellness Health Talk. I'm sorry. Our sponsor is NuWellness Health Care as our sponsor for the show. And I like to say a component of NuWellness Health Care is hydration and IV therapy. We provide intravenous IV therapies for hydration. We also provide it for anti-aging, which is wonderful. You want to stay younger. These are wonderful IVs. People who have migraine headaches, we have IV therapies for that. So, and for migraine and anti-aging and just overall well-being, a person who wants to strengthen their immune system. So if you want to strengthen your immune system, we provide this, and we call this IVs by the Sea through NuWellness Healthcare. So give us a call at 310-871-8721. I would not look like I do, and I'm a grandmother of 9 and feel great with full of energy because of my anti-aging IVs. So I am so grateful for our sponsor, NuWellness Healthcare, at 310-871-8721. Now we're going to get back to our guest here, and we were able to pull up on the screen there your book.
Oh, excellent.
So the world have seen that.
Great. I'm happy to hear that.
And if you missed this show and you want to share it with someone, please you can listen to the show at ubnradio.com, channel 1, and listen to the show, or you can go to our YouTube channel, which is NuWellness TV with Dr. Lee. Thanks to my dear friend here sitting at the table, Jarvis. Thank you so much. So you can, this is ongoing. So you can share this with your friends. It's so important that a person realize what they can do through diet and nutrition. Siobhan, my youngest daughter, she has her master's degree in nutrition now, and she's a clinical nutritionist.
Excellent.
So we admire what you're doing also.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So let's get back to, a lot of the activity. And there's certain things that happen with people who delta is off or the brain wave is off. and their personalities. So let's just hit a little bit on personalities and brainwave.
Well, personalities, again, can be affected by the energy level. The energy level is dictated by glucose. Glucose is the main food for our brain and our spinal system. All of the conduction and energy and all the activity that our body relies on, the food is the base for that, and that's glucose. And that's why it's a little tricky. It's like, wait a minute, sugar? Well, in the form of blood sugar. Now, people, of course, there's different types of sugar in our blood, just blood sugar. And the blood sugar should be from the best sources, such as fructose. Now, fructose is found in carrots, is found in apples, is found in
natural,
fruits and vegetables. That's why being close to nature is the best way. If you have a low, again, you can be very irritated, you can be grumpy, cantankerous. You can also want to rest a lot if you're not in motion. It's easy for you to fall asleep or be disinterested.
Your skin breaks out. You have a lot of things. It can affect your vision.
It can. It's just like a pond or a lake that isn't moving. It's going to erode. It's going to break down. It's going to collect more dirt, more filth, more bacteria. But one that's flowing, you'll find that it's a healthier body of water. And the same with us, because we are 73% water.
Exactly.
We have to move. So it does affect. Food affects your attitude.
Exactly.
If you're not nourishing yourself correctly, you'll find yourself being distracted with pain and hunger and the deficiencies that your body's suffering from.
And you want to get grounded. You want to start standing on the ground, as we don't like to do with no shoes on.
Yes.
And start getting grounded. People who can take walks at the beach. There's certain states that you can't, and countries that really have no water. But when you can, stand on the grass and kind of ground yourself. The one thing I want to say, since we're talking about food, is food sensitivity with people. And you can test that out really quick with your pulse. So if you put a food in your mouth, I had a patient one day, and she came in, she said,
I like this.
I'm allergic to this food. It was some type of bean she liked. And I said, but you've been eating them all your life. She said, but I'm allergic to it now. And I said, well, maybe you're allergic to the seasonings within the food. So why don't you try the food by itself, take a little of the seasoning, put it on the tongue, check your pulse rate. So in checking your pulse, you want to come down from your thumb all the way till you feel your pulse. Radio pulse, thank you. And do this when you're sitting quietly. Count the pulse beat there. And then wait and put the substance under your tongue. Check your pulse again. Now, if there's an increase, there's sometime a food allergy. Now, I found this out years ago with gluten foods, before gluten foods became popular. And I would have cardiac palpitations from a gluten food. So I said, I did this test on myself. This is greater than 25 years ago. Nobody was talking a lot about gluten foods. So I pulled away from glutens years ago. I had to pull away from oatmeal that I loved because it wasn't gluten, and wheat that was talked about to be something wonderful. For me, it didn't work well. So I tell people, simple, before spending a lot of money, do this simple test on yourself. Check your radial pulse.
Yes.
Sitting still, eat something, try it again. If it's any in spices or ingredients in it, recently I became very sensitive to cinnamon. So I'm still trying to analyze that. So I said, I was making this wonderful drink in the morning with turmeric and ginger and a little manuka honey and a little cinnamon, and boy, this was delicious, but the cinnamon was causing me leg cramps. And I'm thinking, what is this? I've been doing it all along, and I added the cinnamon. So once I pull the cinnamon out, I don't have that problem anymore. So these are simple things you can do yourself. Before you get to a doctor, keep a history on yourself. Manage care, manage your own care. Start to journal and see what it is that irritates you, which is so important. And if you can, start taking your blood pressure, sitting, lying, and standing. And I see that in your report under heartbeat, the sitting in line and standing. You want to go ahead and discuss a little bit more on that?
Well, we again, as you said so wonderfully, is really be aware of being your best doctor. It doesn't mean to self-medicate, but it does mean to really take care of yourself. Know your numbers. Know when it changes. For instance, if you're bothered with the food along with the process that you just shared, you can also take it out of your diet and then re-enter it in small amounts and see if you have any type of different reaction to that food. And you will find that a lot of times that food, you might be, because it's so complex, it might not be that particular food. It might be something else. Break down what you're eating, or it might be something within the food. Remember that this food game is diabolical.
Yes.
You can look at a label and it can say one thing, but it may be a whole different thing in that jar. It can say no sugar. It can say that it's gluten-free. It can say that no wheat flour. It can say flourless. It can say all of those things, but there are different laws that allow these particular labels to get by with not telling you the whole truth. So we have to deal with deception on top of the refined, the processed, the irradiation, and so forth. So it is very important for you to know your blood pressure when you are running. So know your max, what you shouldn't go over.
Exactly.
You should know what's your basal metabolic rate. This, for instance, is your heart beating, your BPMs, like your beats per minute at what, 60 for most people. And you have like super really cut up men and women. I mean, men and women that make their living from athletics, they can go all the way down to a 40. But for most of us, that's bradycardia. So, that's, so we don't want to, you don't have to, there 60 is a healthy state, but we want to definitely find out your numbers in any position.
In a balance.
Yeah, in a balance.
Where you are balancing.
That's right.
And I brought up sitting, lying, and standing again because of blood pressure. Because if you're standing, you should be standing up. Check your blood pressure. Write it down. Quickly sit down. Check your blood pressure and write it down. And then lie down flat. Check your blood pressure and write it down. And see where there's a difference, and not the systolic. Well, you want to check them both, systolic and diastolic, and see what big of a change there. Because if there's a 10-point difference, sometimes they say 6. If there's a difference, and this was kind of analyzed by a doctor years ago, you want to check with someone and check to see what's going on with the adrenals. And the adrenals are those wonderful little glands that sit on top of the kidneys. So it's very important to know your orthostatic blood pressure.
Yes.
That's sitting, lying, and standing. And please check it out even more. Orthostatic blood pressure. It's so important that you know that.
It's see, this is why. See, you don't do, just like me, just the common approach. When we rely on just the common approach to treatment, we're going to get the same results that we've always gotten. Nobody's talking about adrenal glands.
Exactly.
Nobody's talking about glomerular filtration rate. Nobody's talking about that. So it gets biased. So by the time people find out, you have a person that ends up having to go to a special clinic to get the blood changed and cleaned and out and in, so they
dialysis.
End up dialysis is horrible. And this is something that we can avoid if we get ahead of the game. In other words, it's just like, don't wait until you get hungry to eat. Eat so you don't get hungry.
Same thing with thirst. By the time you go and get some water, because you say, I'm super thirsty. Because we've been sitting here a while and I'm a little thirsty.
And then you overdo it.
And then the body is so dehydrated. That's where your BMI comes in.
Yes.
So you can test. And so many people are so depleted with their BMI. They come in and say, oh, no, and they're so dehydrated. The one experience that we had very quickly is a gentleman who came in. His abdomen was very distended. Yes. And he said, I'm going to come to you. I said, you really should be going to the ER because they look like they need to tap you. They're going to need to remove some of the fluid. I'm into integrative medicine, functional medicine. But, my first challenge in studies with allopathic medicine as a nurse practitioner and a graduate from Charles Drew. So you learned all these things and have worked in all these arenas that there's a time for medicine. So I did his BMI quickly. He had 7 pints of fluid in the extracellular space. So I sent him on to the hospital, And when they tapped him to remove some of the excess fluid, guess what? They said we could only safely remove 7 pints of water.
Yeah.
Safely, because that's what showed up in the test. Very simple test. It only takes less than 2 minutes to do this test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, edema is something that, and there's other diseases too that you'll have, like excess retainment of water.
Mm-hmm.
But edema is one that is very common, like swelling in the joints, swelling in the abdomen, swelling in the arms, the face even. Is so important. One of the best ways to counter that is physical activity.
Move the body.
Yeah,
move it. That lymphatic system. You got to get that lymphatic system going. I tell everybody, dry skin brushing is one, but exercise.
Yes.
Exercise.
Because the lymphatic system, unlike the heart, the lymphatic system only moves when you move.
When you move.
Yes.
Wasn't that a song called "When I Move, You Move"?
Yeah, I think my son liked that song.
The lymphatic system is when you move, I move.
Right,
okay.
Exactly. So that's the thing that we have to do. You can't just, because you're very smart or you have degrees or you live in an expensive neighborhood, think you can just get by without doing some of the basic things. Move your body.
Move.
Jog, walk, yoga, dance, walk the dog, play with the children. You got to move, and you will find that you'll have a healthier body by just doing what the body was created for.
Exactly.
That's why we have all these joints and flexibility and stuff. That's a part of that.
Yes, it is. And you move a lot when you talk, so that's great.
Well, Funkinetics, that's what Funkinetics right here is one of the things. That's what I shared with you. I founded Funkinetics, and Funkinetics is we work out at the Knox Presbyterian Church Fellowship Hall Mondays and Wednesdays at 6:30.
Well, I need to come join you guys. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, by all means.
Wow.
We just merged with the Kinetic Gym on 54th and Dean in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And we'll be teaching over there too. So I mean, it's catching on. We'll be teaching boot camps there every Friday at 6 p.m. and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
Okay, I can make that.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay, good.
Yes.
Come on this Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, be my guest. That'd be great.
Okay.
That
That
great.
sounds wonderful.
Try. Did I hear try there?
No, you didn't hear try.
Okay.
I was just thinking, I think I do CRT testing in my office. I think I have a patient. But if I don't, I'm going to make it to the following Saturday.
We would love to have you.
I would love to be there.
Yes.
And this is, we've covered a lot of information. Consider we got started a little late here.
Oh, that's okay.
But, it's been really, really phenomenal. And, sleep. People, we kind of touched on it a little. I think we have a couple more minutes here. But we really need to go a little bit more involved with sleep.
Okay.
Because people are not sleeping well. And sleep hygiene is so important.
Yeah.
Is so important with EMFs, and they have some great devices now. You can just plug in the wall, and it just totally protects your whole house. So let's talk a little bit about sleep.
The important thing that I would like to share about sleep is that this is the period that your body does all of its healing, where your body does its repairing, where your body does its rest. The heart doesn't ever stop beating, but this is the time to rest it so that it'll be strong for the rest of your life. The mind never stops thinking, but this is the time that the mind finally rests so that you don't overdo your thinking. You can't overthink things. You can be very, very interrupted during your sleep time with thoughts that you want to figure out what's in the future, and we're thinking about what happened in the past. But the balance, just like you were saying, you're doing your study, getting ready for the show and all that, and you found out that, hey, I'm just going to sleep. Sleep is hugely important, especially for reparation and building. If you're building muscle, if you worked out hard, if you had a long day, even frustration and stress.
Yes.
Now, stress is the only invisible disease that we have, but it is just as effective as any of those physical diseases.
Yes, and sleep. I have actually 4 daughters because I have an added daughter to our family here, which I'm so happy about. But my middle daughter, without giving out her name, she used to sleep a lot. And sleep is so anti-aging.
Yeah.
And she and her daughter, people always think they're sisters. and they do it myself, even though I don't sleep as much as they do. But she was the one that really made sure she got a lot of sleep. And, we did a test, a biological study, and chronological age and biological age on the person.
Oh, I got you.
And the person was actually 20 years older than their biological age.
Yes.
So they said, well, I'm going to bed at 6 o'clock every night. And they just made a drastic change. And so many things changed in that person's life. It was unbelievable, including they had an enlarged thyroid that started to shrink. They were more, their thought process was better. They were retaining information better. Their skin cleared up just from sleep, just getting enough sleep.
Sleep is super powerful, and it really helps. We were talking about moods and hormonal changes. Well, this is definitely an equalizer. We see it when we have children. When they're acting up and they're irritated, you hear the mother say, "Oh, he just didn't take a nap."
Yeah.
And that's the resetter.
Yeah, and that's with the children. So, this has been great. And let's do a recap. I'm going to let you do quickly. We have about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
I want you to do a recap for me, okay?
Yes. Here it is, the rhythm diet. Keep in mind that we're talking about the balance of your entire system. Know to eat according to your body's rhythm. You should be eating in a span of 12 hours a day, and using the second 12, the rest. We only have 24. You start off with a meal that starts off with refreshing your body, cleansing your body. And then there are 2 breaks or 2 snacks every 2 hours up into your largest meal. Your largest meal should consist of your proteins. You can have your carbohydrates, but it's the largest meal along with your salad. And then 3 hours after that, you rest. 3 hours after your largest meal. And then your last meal is your non-protein meal. The last 2 meals are non-protein. Why? Because we need to eat more calmatives to help us on with our rest at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And that is called the rhythm diet. You can go on drzarif.com and simply click on the rhythm diet. It's absolutely free, nothing to sell, but it'll give you the information that you need.
Wonderful. This has been great, and I'm so glad that you're in the studio.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely wonderful. And
thank you.
And the one thing I want to also say, I want to really thank our sponsor, which is NuWellness Healthcare.
Oh, excellent.
And so at NuWellness Healthcare, please visit the website at NU. And remember, NU is where wellness begins. So it's NuWellnessHealthcare.com. And the phone number is 310-871-8721. We really want to thank our sponsor for making this possible. And remember, I always end my show by saying something wonderful. And I'm actually wearing my wonderful badge today. And I want everyone to repeat after me.
Okay.
I am so grateful that I am a magnet for miracles. And you're a miracle if you can repeat this. You're a miracle because you have a voice to repeat it. So I want to say that it's so important that you take this on yourself and know that you are a magnet for miracles. Say this every day. Say it proud, because you are a magnet and you will draw in positive people. So thank you very much, and tune in next Wednesday at 11 o'clock, ubnradio.com or NuWellness TV with Dr. Lee. Thank you.
Join us every Wednesday live at 11 a.m. for NuWellness TV with Dr. Lee. Remember, healthy mind, healthy body.